Here we are at last. Can't believe it. Our first podcast to talk everything menopause.
Super excited.
I know.
Super excited.
I can't believe we're here doing it right now. It's
at
just
last.
mad. But anyway, let's just start with some introductions. So, Julia, why don't you start? Who are you? What do you do?
So I'm Julia and I'm head of HR at the Lansdowne Club. And I've been here for nearly 4 years.
Wow, that's amazing. It's really good. Great. And then Karen.
My name's Karen Clark, and I'm a licensed menopause educator and coach. And I work with women and workplaces to kind of support, educate, and find solutions around menopause.
Wow. Gosh, we need you on our team.
That's why I'm here.
That's really good. Brilliant. So I'm Sally Prescott and I'm the director for Zest for Life. And we offer leadership development, customer service and coaching for people who want to be exceptional. That's what it's all about.
Fabulous.
And yeah, to be
So we are just 3 women
Yes.
who are been through, experienced menopause, and we want to kind of spread the word and share our experiences. I think that's why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That is absolutely the reason why. So that leads us very nicely into let's hear our stories. You know, how did this all start, basically? So, Karen, what's your story? Because you're the expert around menopause.
Yeah, and it wasn't always the case. So if someone had told me 4 years ago I'd be sat in a room with 2 women talking about the menopause on a podcast, I'd have said absolutely not.
Yeah.
So my career was in marketing, in home interiors industry, and I hit in my kind of mid to late 40s. I actually got a new job, which was meant to be my job for life. You know, I'd hit the big time, and I went into that role, and something changed in me during that period, a very short period. The job wasn't quite what I expected, but that's not the point. The point is I didn't deal with that very well, and I realised I was getting some hot flashes. I was having some brain fog. My sleep was awful. My confidence and my anxiety were through the roof, and I didn't really know what was going on at all. But it was impacting me at work, and I thought I was losing it a bit, if I'm honest, and I was just a bit past it. So I can remember, one that comes to mind is I was stood in a meeting, presenting, doing my thing, and I couldn't remember what I was going to say. And that was scary. And I thought, what the hell is going on? Have I got dementia? What's going on? And I spoke to my female boss at the time, who was a couple of years older than me, and said, I think this might be menopause. And she said, don't mention the M word. It's not good for any of us.
Oh my gosh.
So that kind of set me on a trajectory that I didn't want to talk about it. So cut a very long story short, it didn't work out there. I wasn't very well. I had very little support. I didn't understand what was going on, which was, the thing that I have to take accountability for, but I didn't know what was happening to me. I had 2 parents who were both ill and dying, and so there were things going on in my life that I couldn't cope with. And I think that's the thing about menopause that we can share with people who are listening, is that it makes you question who you are, and it makes you less able to deal with things that normally would have been normal to you.
Yeah.
So it was, it was awful. So I left my role. Both my parents died, and for a couple of years I was poorly. I kind of fell off a cliff. Mentally, physically, emotionally, I was just not in a great place. And it was menopause. So it changed me from a vibrant, happy, confident, able career woman and turned me into something that I didn't recognise.
Yeah, almost collapsed.
Yeah. And I took a couple of years out of life trying to find a job to replace the one I'd lost, and I couldn't get one. At the time I was blaming ageism and all sorts of things. The truth was I wasn't very good because I had no confidence. So I ended up not doing a lot. But on a positive note, the turning point was I took a role in Saudi Arabia, bizarrely of all places. And that was when I turned things around, because I was taken out of that kind of rat race situation and had some time on my own. I wasn't running around looking after a million other people. I wasn't drinking alcohol because it's an alcohol-free country. I was eating really good food, and I had time out to go to the gym, to sit by the pool, and all the things. And I started investigating menopause and what was happening. I learned about nutrition. I learned about the exercise I should be doing. I learned about stress management. And literally in the space of a month, I felt like a different person.
Wow.
Just by doing the right things and having that time out to sit back and think about what was right for me, not for everybody else.
Yeah.
And so, I just felt best, and I thought, there's something in this. I was talking to my peers and my friends, and everybody was going through the same thing or similar things, similar experiences. And I thought, there's something in this. And that's when I trained formally in menopause. I got nutritional qualification and I started doing one-to-one coaching. And that's led me to where we are today.
That is amazing. I've gone all tingly hearing that story.
Well, you know, and, you know, I always say this to people, you know, my story isn't exceptional at all. You know, some people have worse experiences than me. Some people have better experiences. But not only is my story the thing that brought me here, everybody has a story, and that's important. So, yes, I've trained in menopause. I learned so much more by talking to other women and sharing stories, because that's when you learn what's really happening in people's lives. Yeah. So, you know, my passion about being here on this podcast with you two is to share stories, understand what's going on, see how different people have been impacted in different ways.
Yeah.
Because stories are really, really important.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's mine.
Wow. Do you have any regrets at all about what's happened?
Do I have any regrets? I can't really regret it, because I now do a different career that I absolutely love, and I feel like I'm really giving something back. I wish I'd known more.
Yeah.
I wish I'd known more. I wish I'd dealt with the situation in my career differently. I'd had the ability. You know, I'm not bitter. I just wish the information was out there so that people and workplaces knew what was happening day to day in women's lives, and then make decisions accordingly.
Yeah.
Because my decision might still have been to change careers, but I would have made that more intentionally, rather than by force. So, no, I don't have any regrets. I just wish I didn't have to go through that horrible 3-year period in the middle. And that's my objective, is to stop people having to go through that. Yeah. And that would be my main objective.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to say, can you imagine the headlines of that previous employer of your former female boss and saying, don't mention the M word? Imagine the headline saying, you know, I mentioned the M word and look what's happened. Yeah. It's so, I mean, that could have and still could
go viral, you know, because it is such a, you know, women supporting women. That didn't really work in that instance. But that's then, this is now, and we're about positivity moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing. What I'm about. That's my story.
Great. Let's go to Julia. Tell us, why are you here?
Well, my menopause journey is very different to Karen's menopause journey, in that I'd been for some routine blood tests for anemia. I've always had very heavy periods, and so was always prone to anemia and regular blood tests. And in the office, and received a phone call from the GP surgery. Can you call back? So me thinking...
Panic.
Yeah, well, I really thought it was just going to be that normal phone call back to say, by the way, you're anemic. We've left a prescription. You just need to go and pick them up at the pharmacy. Yeah. Anyway, I then phoned back, female GP, and she said, we've got your blood test results. And I said, okay, still thinking I was going to be told that I was anemic. Just let you know, you're well into the menopause. Would you like some HRT? At which point...
Sorry, that drives me mad.
I know, I just can't believe it.
There is no blood test for perimenopause. It's done based on symptoms, so you can't have a blood test. Yes, your estrogen and progesterone may have been low at that particular point in the blood test, but an hour later they could have been high. So there's one example of false information. You clearly were, but the symptoms told her that. The blood tests told her other things. Yeah. No, but it's just this miscommunication thing that keeps happening, is the lack of information and knowledge amongst GPs is quite scary.
Yeah, so it was. I mean, it was a real shock.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was 42 when that happened. Young. And so that was a real shock. And you know, not that I wanted any more children at that stage. It wasn't that I was broody at all. But I got to the tube station at the end of the day. I came out of work and I just burst into tears. And it was such a shock to have been told that, and to have been told that in that way.
Quite brutal, that, isn't it?
It was brutal. And because I've also had, you know, throughout my menstrual cycle, issues with the pill, you know, to be asked, do I want some HRT, knowing what's on my medical files, it was just ludicrous. And so yes, I was very upset. And then I got home and I spoke to my mum and said, well, I've spoken to the surgery and the doctors told me that you're well into your menopause. And with that, my mum looked at me and she went, well, you're very young. Are you sure? Which I was 47.
Yeah.
And, and usually, daughters follow their mothers.
Yeah.
So she's, and then she was very pro HRT because my mother, had taken HRT and, she was very upset when she was told that she had to come off of HRT.
Yeah.
So she was very much, I think, well, you need to take HRT. And again, it's just like, what I've been through over the years with, the pill, etc. Why is everybody telling me that HRT is the thing? And, I just was not ready for that. There was no, again, you just don't think it's ever going to happen.
I feel like that for you, though, because it was so sudden and so brutal. It's almost like a grief. So one minute you were a person that you thought you were, and the next minute you're told that you've stepped over a line, and you're somebody different who's kind of not reproductive, not a young woman anymore. So that was quite.
It's something's just been ripped away from you, and that's what it felt like. It wasn't. It was
no choice.
Exactly, it was. I've just been taken into a different.
And it's mad, because you're just told that one day with no real knowledge about what that means. So, with any other, menopause isn't an illness, but with any other condition, you'd be taken through what that is, what that means. And there is an assumption that we're all cool with it, and we're not. And, the process of perimenopause is long and convoluting. And to just have it diagnosed one day, you might have been perimenopausal for 5 years before that. Someone should have explained that to you and what's likely to happen and what your other options are beyond HRT, which is a great solution for many women, but there are so many other ways that you can approach it. So, it's one of the things that we need to discuss and get out there is approaching perimenopause and how we're diagnosed and how we deal with that diagnosis going forward. Because it's not a negative thing necessarily. It's got loads of positives. We just need to make sure that we're aware of those and how to deal with the problems that it's giving us. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then when I started talking about that, I was going through the menopause and, my story in the workplace, there were women who I could see clearly wanted to really start having that conversation in the workplace.
Yeah.
So for me, it's really about getting the message out there and making people more aware and, helping. For me, it's an education as well because there's still so much that I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's it, isn't it? It's the education bit. But what frustrates me about your story and really sort of helps, empathise with you is the fact that you've got this record and no one's like taking that into consideration and just like almost, everyone has the same solution. HRT is the answer to everything. Yeah. When actually it wouldn't work for you at all. That's the thing, is it?
And at that stage, I had no symptoms. There was nothing that was obvious or, making me think that there was anything wrong apart from my usual symptoms of anemia.
Yeah.
So that, there was nothing there that gave me any indication or...
God.
But on the positive, your position here at the Lansdowne Club means that you can use that to good effect, can't it? Doesn't it? And you can spread the word and make sure that you're giving the right information and facilitating people to have better experiences into the workplace. So that's
amazing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
It is great, and we're very grateful to the Lansdowne Club for making this happen. I mean, it is just fantastic, isn't it? It's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So my story is quite different because I can remember having very strange bed sweats. So I can remember being in bed with my husband and saying, I'm so hot, having all the covers off me and being literally wet as if I'd been in a sauna.
And did you know what that might be at that point, or was it just, I'm hot?
I'm just hot. Yeah, absolutely. And then I said, don't touch me. And he said, well, he did touch me, let's put it this way. And he goes, you are hot. I was like, yes, I am. You know, like it's really, really bad. And then those hot moments became a thing in the day. So I was basically having hot flushes. And
we do need to make it clear at this point that poor Sally does suffer from hot flashes a lot.
I do.
And always has a fan to hand.
Here
when
we
sit
have.
on Zooms, there's a fan going, the hair's always blowing. So, you know, there will always be a fan to hand for Sally.
These are the best invention ever. Better than sliced bread, all those things. This is, it's just like instant relief. It's fantastic. So anyway, I was having these hot flushes, but then I have regular holistic therapies. So I go and see this kinesiology, can't say the word. And anyway, I was telling her about it. And she said to me, what I think would be helpful is if you go to the doctor and get a blood test. And she asked specifically for it to be tested for certain things. So she gave me this little list. So I dutifully made an appointment with the doctor, went to see him, and I said, I just want to know if I can have this blood test and where I'm up to, because we think I'm going through the menopause, and just to have an idea of where I'm up to in that process. So anyway, so he said, well, I think I was 50 at the time. Well, you're 50 and you've got this symptom and that symptom, so I can confirm to you you're going through the menopause and you don't need a blood test to tell you that. So I was basically sent away with no blood test and no further information other than I'm going through the menopause.
So that also drives me mad, though, because it's the opposite experience to yours, but they're both wrong.
Yeah.
So he's absolutely, the doctor
he
is absolutely right to do it on symptoms.
Yeah.
But then the blood test to support that. So, you know, a thyroid test, an insulin test, a B12 test.
B12 is on there.
The things that would confirm or write off other conditions, but also indicate further support that you might need to take you through your perimenopause symptoms.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's so rare that the GP experience goes well.
Yeah.
Because of the lack of knowledge. So you either get a blood test that tells you something that it actually can't tell you, or you don't get the blood test that would help support. So it's, you know, doctors need more training.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's some great ones out there, 100%, but a lot of them don't have enough training to, you know, they get a day in their whole training on menopause.
Oh my God.
That. So
terrible.
Yeah.
Really bad. So anyway, then obviously friends, you know, you talk to friends about it and they go, oh, just get on the HRT, you know, it's the answer to all your prayers and all the rest of it. And I just thought, well, it just didn't sit right with me. I just thought, I don't really want to take medication, you know, surely. And that's what I was hoping I'd get from this blood test, some way of managing it myself, you know. Anyway, the hot flashes, whatever, got worse, so much so that my glasses won't stay on my face because they just fall off my face. And after them, I'd be exhausted. It's like it's like taking all your energy away. It's awful. Anyway, I went to another holistic therapist, which is craniosacral therapy. So I was telling her about it, and I said, you know, people keep saying about HRT, but it's just not sitting well with me for some reason. She said to me, yeah, why would you put hormones in your body that your body's not naturally going to have? So that kind of like put me at peace. I kind of thought, yeah, that's not what I want for me. I need to find a way of managing this and coping with it, etc. Anyway, I've taken all kinds of herbal remedies and they kind of work for a while and then I almost get immune to it. So then I might switch into another and all the rest of it. So I've tried all kinds of things.
What have you tried?
So I've tried ashwagandha, I've tried black cohosh and all the colours, and the red clover, you know. So I've recently come off red clover completely because I was still having the hot flushes. But I've got to say, they're not as bad as they used to be. You know, they're really not as bad. I do have the bed sweats and things like that, but they're just not as exhausting as they were. So, yeah.
Yeah, your story is an interesting one, I think, because, you know, you found a way to cope with it yourself. You know, and one of your main symptoms is hot flashes.
Yeah.
I do think it's a shame that you weren't educated in HRT right at the beginning, because you might have had a different view.
Experience,
you know, HRT is such I'm sure we'll do an episode on HRT because it's such a divisive subject. But HRT would almost certainly have improved your hot flashes almost instantly. Now, if you'd known that, you might have and understood the pros and cons and benefits and disadvantages of HRT, modern HRT, you may have made a different decision, or you may not have done, but you would have made an informed decision.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just become so emotive.
Yeah.
And people make decisions based on emotion, whereas if we can educate, people will make the right decisions for them, which in your case would probably have been no HRT. In your case, it might have been HRT for a period of time to get those hot flashes under control.
Yeah.
But you weren't given the right information at the time. So it's just it's this education piece to make sure we give women the right facts to make the right decision for them, both medically and just personally.
Yeah. That's it.
And then there are so many other solutions beyond HRT that people don't know about, and a GP will never ever mention to you. So your choice at a GP is HRT, or some antidepressants, or there are a couple of other medications.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, which can have the biggest impact on your menopausal symptoms and your long-term health after, lie beyond HRT, and we're not educated on that.
Yeah.
So if we can just give our listeners a little bit of advice in that direction, to just say there are other solutions out there that will help.
And
then we've done a great job.
And Sally and I, we were lucky in the respect that it was picked up very early on that we were going through the menopause.
Yeah.
But there's a number of women, I'm sure, in our audience who have been to the doctors and have been misdiagnosed, and again, not through any fault of the GP, but because of the lack of training which is available out there. Go away and they come back with antidepressants, or maybe your iron count's low and therefore it's just anemia.
I mean, I was offered antidepressants at one point, and I was kind of like, I'm not depressed. Yes, I'm a little bit sad, but there's a difference. I need to find the solution to this that's beyond that. And the point about the GPs is, perimenopause can start in your 30s. Irregular periods are maybe not the first sign, but things can start happening in your early and mid-30s. And the more aware that women become of that, you might not do anything at that point, but just be aware that these things are happening to you within your body, and maybe implementing some lifestyle changes. And then the more understanding that any woman has about her symptoms and her experience, the better the outcomes, because all our three experiences are quite different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And therefore the solutions are different. So, one thing for this opening episode, I think, to take away is, whether you're 32 or 52, is to use a symptom tracker so that you understand your symptoms and how they relate to your life. So then whether that's going to see a GP and explaining what's happening, or it's managing your symptoms yourself with some education, that is the way. The more educated you are about that little list of symptoms, it's 100 plus.
100 plus?
Yeah.
Symptoms.
Yeah, there were symptoms. Yeah. So, at menopause school, I was taught there was 34. Because there are estrogen receptors all over your body, in your brain, in your heart, in your gut, in your liver, in your bones, then as estrogen drops in perimenopause, then all these functions suffer. And that's why everybody's symptoms are different, because you don't know where it's going to impact you. So get a symptom tracker, use a symptom tracker. I'm sure there'll be a link at the end of this podcast in the notes. Just use it for 3-4 weeks and understand what's happening, what your symptoms are, what the triggers are, and the things that you find help that. And then you can start on the path to some kind of coping mechanism.
Yeah. And that brings us on then to the reason why we're doing this. I mean, for me, the reason why I'm driven to create these podcasts is because I'm so disappointed in life, basically, because no one prepared me for this. As a young girl, I was prepared for what, the birds and the bees and our cycles and what happens, but nobody prepared. I mean, I don't have any children, but you have support when you have children and all that. But no one, got me ready for this. No. And I just think the more we can, expose what's happening, people can be prepared. and do something about it. You know, I feel as if I'm hopefully coming out of it a bit now, but I still have the hot flushes, and I just want to have known and been prepared, you know, so that I could have put things in place rather than fumble along, you know.
Yeah, and there has been a journey of acknowledgement and conversation. So, you know, when our parents were going through the menopause, you might hear about a hot flash, but that was it. You didn't really understand what that was. Now I find everyone's talking about it. You know, maybe it's just because of what I do, but I feel like every conversation I have is about menopause, and we're all talking about it. But it's quite negative. It's quite a horrors. This is happening to us. It's absolutely shit. Excuse me. And you know, it's the end. You know, it's the end, and it's awful. And actually, we need to change that narrative to go, this is happening. It happens to 50% of the population. We can fix this, and maybe we can't fix every single symptoms, but we're in the prime of our lives. Let's do the best we can and move on. You know, and many people, midlife and menopause is a crossroads.
Yeah,
people change careers. Divorce rate is highest, in this age. Kids are leaving home. You know, it's an opportunity to start afresh, and I'm an example of that. That you can make something good come out of something bad. So, with the right education, women can make their own decisions about what they want to happen during their menopause and for the rest of their lives.
Yeah,
so that's why I'm passionate about doing this, is to allow women to go through an experience that was better than the one I went through, because it was completely and utterly unnecessary to experience that. So if we can educate, 1, 10, 50, 1,000, 10,000 women, then
wow, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing.
It would.
And for me, similar. It's all about that education piece. It's, I wasn't educated. I'm still going through that education journey, and I'm now post-menopause. Is that the right?
Have you had your last period?
I have had my last period.
12 months ago?
12 months ago.
You're now post-menopausal.
But I'm still learning. And, sometimes I feel that my hot flushes have got worse now that I'm at this stage than when 100%. I was.
Your hormone levels are still low. So just because you're postmenopausal officially, for some women that means no symptoms, but for others, there's still a kind of like a cycle and symptom thing that goes on, on top of longer term health issues that we need to manage as we come through perimenopause and menopause due to a lack of these hormones that we don't have anymore. So 100% post-menopause doesn't mean, we're back to normal again, because we still need to be aware and manage and, in your case, do the lifestyle things.
Yeah.
Like have protein for breakfast.
Love it. Protein for breakfast.
Rather than a slice of toast.
I'm now the food police.
So bad.
So there are a million things that we can do, but everyone's experience is different. So point one is understand your symptoms.
Love it.
And then you've got a story to tell about what's happening to you, rather than just get the textbook version.
Yeah. And I think for me as well, it's about bringing that conversation to life in the workplace and giving women the confidence to talk about it and go to the GP and say, these are my symptoms and I feel that these may be related to the menopause.
Yeah.
Rather than having to go through a lengthy process of trying to get a diagnosis. Is diagnosis the right word?
Yeah, it's absolutely the right word.
To, so that they can then manage those symptoms correctly, as opposed to just walking out the surgery with your antidepressants.
Yeah.
And also for me, bringing men into the conversation.
I'm glad you've mentioned that. Absolutely,
Yeah. And, and as a hospitality business as well, how do we support women that are also in very much operational roles, which, there's a lot more exertion is involved in those roles to manage their symptoms.
Yeah.
But for me, it's still very much a learning journey.
It's a learning journey. These, conversations are starting to be had, and there's a long way to go. 1 in 10 women have left the workplace because of menopause symptoms and lack of support.
Yeah.
And we'll use that stat a lot through this this series of podcasts, I'm sure, but 1 in 4 has considered it. So there's a lot of people suffering, and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
Because, you know, awareness, self-awareness of women, and then the awareness in the workplace to support women. And it's not big, you know, it's small things that make an enormous difference in the future. And that's why, you know, hats off to the Lansdowne Club for supporting this, because it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, having spent most of my career in hospitality, you know, and I've not really, you know, I've not been in hospitality full time during this time of my life, but just, you know, in the kitchen, running, you know, the way you used to run around, I just can't even imagine what it must be like. So I just think a big thank you to the Lansdowne Club for helping people in the hospitality profession. I think it's amazing, but actually any profession, you know.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just for women, definitely for men too. And yeah, really good. It's amazing. So did I cut you off then?
No, I think I'd.
Yeah.
But what about you? What about?
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think it'd be really good to deal with choice. I think it's really about giving people choice, that it's not just one way or the highway, to give people, you know, the power back, basically.
Yes.
And not just go with myths and things. You know, let's talk about what is true and the science and what actually is happening in our bodies, male and female, because we're changing, aren't we? We're different to where we were, you know. I know I definitely look different to what I looked like when I was 21. You know, what's happened, you know. And then, you know, another myth, I don't know whether it's true or not, but I can remember being in a conference and this lady was saying, post-menopause, you get this power back, you become like this superwoman. And I'm just, you know, I'm hanging on every hope that I'm going to get that cloak, you know.
Suddenly
I'm going
rip your jumper off and you're superwoman underneath.
Yeah, I'm going to be rewarded for these, for this, you know, little blip in life.
You know, that may be luck in that instance, but there's an intentional thing. You know, if you do the right things, you will feel better.
Yeah.
That's not, you know, I'm not a medic, but I don't think that surge actually exists.
Yeah.
But if you do the right things, you can go from feeling poorly and low and, you know, under the weather to feeling amazing because you're doing the right things. That might be HRT that does that. It might be changing your diet. It might be changing your stress levels. It might be changing your career. Whatever it is, it's finding your thing. Yeah. And that has to start with education and giving people the options. So here we are.
It's so good. So let's go on the journey.
Absolutely.
I think, we just have to tune in for podcast 2.
Can't wait.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. See you soon.
See you soon.